Flame Hashira Kyojuro Rengoku becomes involved in the hunt of demons attacking civilians at night. He slays a demon who was prowling a woman and her granddaughter. The woman remembers that his father once saved them as well, and his son is proud to continue the tradition. Kyojuro later boards the Mugen Train, where 3 underlings from the Demon Slayer Corps, Tenjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, join him to assist in the investigation of the train. Tanjiro and his friends meet Kyojuro on the Mugen Train. When a train supervisor punches holes in their tickets, all Demon Slayers fall into a deep sleep. Enmu, lower one of the 12 Kizuki, is responsible. He used his blood demon art to make them all fall into a deep dream. In his dream, Tanjiro reunites with his deceased family, and believes his whole experience as a Demon Slayer was a bad dream. Meanwhile, Enmu plots the Demon Slayers' demise in their sleep. While the Demon Slayers remain asleep, Enmu instructs 4 vulnerable passengers to tie their wrists to them, fall asleep, and enter their dreams. Armed with a sharp pick, they must search for their spiritual core and destroy it, in order to render them incapacitated. Kyojuro's intruder finds his core, but his intensely strong spirit manages to stop her in the real world. Tanjiro's demon sister, Nezuko, is not affected by Enmu's spell, but fails to wake up her brother with her blood demon art. Her attempt, however, is enough to alert Tanjiro that he is living a dream. In an ultimate attempt to force himself to wake up, Tanjiro decides to slash his own neck within his dream. Tanjiro's intruder finds himself in Tanjiro's subconsciousness. Figments of his spirit guide the passenger to the core. Suddenly feeling immensely guilty for having desired to destroy the core of a person with such a pure heart, the intruder refuses to do it. Tanjiro awakens, and discovers his peers deep asleep. Nezuko burns the ropes from the wrists of the Demon Slayers, which awakens the passengers. They attack Tanjiro, who knocks them out. Tanjiro spares his passenger, after learning how sick and desperate he was. Tanjiro confronts Enmu, and in the ensuing battle, beheads Enmu after the demon kept putting him repeatedly in increasingly dire dreams of his family, forcing him to keep slashing his neck to return. However, Enmu does not die and reveals that he fused his entire body with the Mugen Train. Inosuke is woken up by Nezuko and teams up with Tanjiro to kill Enmu. With everybody now awake, Kyojuro orders Tanjiro and Inosuke to search for Enmu's real head as he, Nezuko, and Zenitsu protect the passengers in the cars in the back. Tanjiro and Inosuke arrive at the control compartment and discover Enmu's real neck. Despite constantly slashing the cabin, Enmu keeps generating defenses for his neck. The driver, wanting to protect the demon, stabs Tanjiro in the stomach. However, Tanjiro musters his strength, and, together with Inosuke, manages to expose Enmu's neck bone. He performs his Hinokami Kagura technique and decapitates Enmu with a powerful swing attack. The entire Mugen train derails and crashes into the ground. After the train derails, Enmu disintegrates. Tanjiro struggles with his near-fatal wound, but manages to stabilize it under Kyojuro's guidance. They are met by upper rank 3, Akaza, who tries to persuade Kyojuro into turning into a demon, achieve immortality and reach a higher power, having sensed how powerful he was. Appealing to his integrity as a demon slayer, he immediately refuses, resulting in a battle to the death between the two. He instructs Tanjiro and Inosuke to stay behind. Despite Kyojuro's tremendous strength and speed, Akaza overwhelms him with his unique martial arts and powerful regeneration, injuring Kyojuro severely. Tanjiro and Inosuke cannot do anything but look from afar, helpless. With all that is left in him, Kyojuro unleashes one last, powerful attack at Akaza, momentarily stunning him. However, Akaza fatally injures him, and seeing the arrival of daybreak, flees. In desperation, Tanjiro slings his sword with all his force at Akaza, who then runs away with it in his chest. While Kyojuro succumbs to his injuries, he confides in Tanjiro messages for both his brother and father for him to give them. He accepts Nezuko as a member of the Demon Slayer Corps, and encourages Tanjiro to set his heart ablaze. He sees a vision of his proud mother, before passing away peacefully, devastating Tanjiro and Inosuke. The other Hashiras get the news of Kyojuro's death, while the head of the Demon Slayer Corps, Kaguya, appreciates him for not letting a single passenger or comrade die in his presence. Akaza meets Muzan, now disguised as a young boy, who reveals his disappointment on Akaza for not being able to kill the other 3 demon slayers other than Kyojuro. Akaza vows to kill Tanjiro as the latter goes to meet Kyojuro's brother Senjuro and his father. Their father, a former flame Hashira but now an alcoholic who detests the demon slayers and sees both of his sons as failures, dismisses Tanjiro violently. However, when he sees Tanjiro's earrings, he explains to him he is a bearer of the first breathing technique, called sun breathing. Tanjiro headbutts him for disrespecting Kyojuro, knocking him out. Later, Senjuro thanks Tanjiro for passing him his brother's messages. 4 months after Kyojuro's death, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke accompany the sound Hashira Tengen Uzui to their next mission, infiltrating the famed Yoshiwara Red Light District, where demons are said to reside. In order to investigate the suspected demonic presence in Yoshiwara, Tengen had sent his 3 wives to infiltrate the 3 largest courtesan houses in the district. However, having stopped receiving messages from them, he has started worry for their safety. As such, Tengen disguises Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu as girls and sells them to the 3 houses in which his wives were deployed, in order to find clues to their fate and whereabouts. Though with some difficulty, all 3 demon slayers are accepted to work at the houses. As Tengen surveys the district from the rooftops, it is revealed that Makio, one of Tengen's wives, is held captive in a secluded room in Inosuke's house, being restrained by numerous obi, and enduring interrogation from a mysterious female voice. Inosuke investigates a room he believes to be Makio's, expecting to face a demon, but finds the room disheveled and empty. However, he quickly senses something moving through the ceiling and walls, and starts a pursuit, though to no avail. Meanwhile, in his own house, Zenitsu defends a girl from being scolded by Vurabehime, the house's beautiful but intimidating Oiran. Zenitsu recognizes her as a demon but is attacked by her in anger. A few days before the mission, the madam of the house confronts Vurabehime, having figured out her identity, but Vurabehime kills her by dropping her onto the street from a great height. When Vurabehime returns inside, she is greeted by Muzan. Muzan praises the demon, noting her strength and beauty, and addressing her by her demon name Deki, the upper rank 6. Later, Zenitsu wakes up, having been taken care of by the girls he had defended, and they thank him for standing his ground. After they leave, Zenitsu is stealthily captured by Deki. Tanjiro and Inosuke meet to exchange information. Inosuke claims his house has a demon, but their conversation is interrupted by Tengen. Realizing Zenitsu is missing, Tengen dismisses Tanjiro and Inosuke, not wanting them to risk their lives for his needs. The 2 refuse to abandon him and rearm for battle. Shedding his disguise completely, Tanjiro approaches the Oiran of his house, who had been unaware of him being a male the whole time, and bids her farewell. Meanwhile, Tengen questions the master of Zenitsu's house at knife point, aiming to gain information about the demon. Having just left his house, Tanjiro detects a scent coming from its direction and decides to return, only to be confronted by Deki, who has absorbed the Oiran into her obi. The 2 begin to fight, and Deki easily overs Tanjiro with her numerous obi sashes. With the impact of her attacks, one of the straps on Nezuko's box breaks, meaning Tanjiro can no longer carry her and has to leave her stationary. Releasing she will be the strongest demon he's faced thus far, Tanjiro readies himself to face Deki alone. Battling Deki by himself, Tanjiro tries to use his Hinokami Kagura but realizes the fatigue on his body is preventing him from fighting effectively. Elsewhere, Inosuke discovers an incredibly narrow passageway under his house, leading to a cavern which appears to serve as a holding cell, full of obi that Deki has used to absorb her victims. This obi turns out to be an entity that can function independently from Deki's body, and Inosuke first attempts to slay it, but decides to prioritize freeing the people trapped inside. Overwhelmed, he nevertheless manages to free Suma and Makio, two of Tenjin's wives, as well as Zenitsu, all of whom assist him in his fight, before being joined by Tengen himself. As Tanjiro and Deki battle, Deki causes immense destruction to the district, taking the lives of numerous innocents. The enraged Tanjiro retaliates with an INCR, edibly powerful series of Hinokami Kagura attacks, nearly slashing her neck, though Deki saves herself by transforming her neck into an obi, making it difficult to cut. The two continue fighting, and Deki starts to see distant memories of a similar figure to Tanjiro, memories which she surmises must belong to Muzen's cells in her body. Unleashing another barrage of attacks, Tanjiro nearly cuts Deki's neck again, however. He had been fighting without breathing, and a vision from his late sister saves him from suffocating. He collapses, struggling to catch his breath. When Deki approaches the injured Tanjiro, Nezuko appears and destroys her head with a kick. Deki remembers Muzan talking about Nezuko as a rogue demon who must be exterminated, and begins fighting her. Deki seemingly bisects Nezuko with ease, but is stunned to see her incredible regenerative power. Biting through her bamboo muzzle, Nezuko matures in appearance, and faces Deki, filled with rage. Nezuko fights Deki, and despite taking major injuries, she regenerates them almost instantly, causing the shocked Deki to proclaim that Nezuko's regenerative ability is stronger than her own. Nezuko brutally attacks Deki, completely overwhelming her, and throws her into an inhabited building. While Deki heals, Nezuko notices that one of the civilians is bleeding. Blinded by her rage, her demonic bloodlust kicks in and she goes to attack the civilian. Before Tanjiro intervenes, restraining her, Tengen soon arrives and beheads Deki with ease, doubting she is as powerful as she claims. However, Deki does not die. Instead, she wails and cries, causing her brother Gyutaro to emerge from within her. Gyutaro, who is also the upper six alongside Deki, reattaches Deki's head and, full of jealousy at Tengen's good looks, begins to fight him using his sickles and blood demon art. Overwhelmed, Tengen struggles to stand his ground while protecting the civilians, as Deki and Gyutaro fight as one. Tanjiro manages to calm Nezuko down, just as Zenitsu and Inosuke arrive to help. Taking Nezuko back to her box, Tanjiro focuses on the coming battle despite his injuries. Tengen trades barbs with Gyutaro and Deki for their individual beliefs clashing together. As a young man, Tengen was brutally trained by his father as a member of the shinobi, and wanting to avoid the path taken by his surviving brother, he approached Kaguya, alongside his wives, who commended him on striving away from his past. As they fight, he forces the siblings apart, but realizes he was poisoned by Gyutaro's earlier cut. Tengen is suddenly joined by Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, proceeding to praise and acknowledge the three. The district is evacuated by Suma and Makio, while Hintsuru recovers and approaches the battle, planning to behead them simultaneously. The clash is split as Deki engages Zenitsu and Inosuke, while Gyutaro clashes with Tengen and Tanjiro. Sinking their powers and fighting as one, the upper-rank siblings overwhelm the demon slayers. However, Tanjiro, realizing his water-breathing technique is more useful to defend himself, uses it instead of his Hinokami Kagura to fend off Gyutaro's attacks. Hintsuru interrupts the fight and fires a barrage of kunai laced with wisteria-based poison at Gyutaro, giving enough time for Tengen to slice off his legs, which do not regenerate quickly, and for Tanjiro to move in with his sword. Tengen remembers visiting his family grave alongside his wives, having promised them to live the flashiest lives possible in their honor. In the present, he and Tanjiro close into Gyutaro's neck. But the demon has managed to neutralize the wisteria poison and regenerate both his legs. Using a new blood demon art, he fends off Tengen and vanishes, suddenly appearing alongside Hintsuru. Seeing her life in danger, Tengen reminisces on how he had promised his wives that they would retire from fighting if they managed to defeat an upper-rank demon. Unwilling to let another person die, Tanjiro combines his Hinokami Kagura and water breathing, unleashing a very fast charge that stuns the upper rank and saves Hintsuru. Tengen shows him his gratitude and joins him in attempting again to slice off Gyutaro's head. While Zenitsu and Inosuke continue to fend off Dekizobi, Gyutaro stops the blades from hitting him and unleashes his blood demon art again, forcing Tengen to throw hymns. Elf and Gyutaro away to save Hintsuru and Tanjiro. With Tengen continuing to fight Gyutaro alone, Tanjiro joins Zenitsu and Inosuke in battling Deki. Coordinating their attacks, Tanjiro and Zenitsu open the way for Inosuke, who saws off Deki's head with his swords and runs away with it, preventing reattachment to her body. Without warning, Gyutaro appears and stabs Inosuke from behind through his chest, retrieving Deki's head. Tanjiro turns around, only to see Tengen's severed hand and unconscious body on the ground. Devastated for not being able to help Inosuke and Tengen in time, Tanjiro freezes. Zenitsu pushes him off the roof to save him from an incoming Obi attack. Tanjiro, having survived his fall, approaches Nezuko's box and sees that she is still inside. Gyutaro arrives however, and mocks him for having been unable to defend her and his friends, slamming him around the burning remains of the city. With Tanjiro at his mercy, Gyutaro proposes he become a demon, willing to spare his life if he does. Tanjiro responds by head-butting him. Enraged, Gyutaro prepares to attack but is paralyzed by a wisteria kunai, stabbed in his leg when Tanjiro hit him. With the upper six immobilized, Tanjiro attempts to behead him with Hinokami Kagura once more. Deki sees this but is attacked by Zenitsu before she can kill Tanjiro, who attacks her with his fastest form yet. He manages to high T Deki's Obi neck and begins to cut through. Gyutaro removes the kunai and quickly recovers from the poison. Before he can kill Tanjiro, Tengen, having slowed the poison's effects, intervenes and fights with Gyutaro evenly despite his lost hand. Tanjiro sees his chance and slashes the demon's neck, getting stabbed through the jaw doing so. Fighting the pain, he summons the last of his strength and begins to sever Gyutaro's neck. Meanwhile, Zenitsu's attack required a lot of energy and is beginning to falter, but he is joined by Inosuke. He reveals he moved his internal organs when he was stabbed, enabling Gyutaro's sickle to miss his heart. They join their swords on Deki's neck. The demon slayers then simultaneously behead the siblings, whose heads roll close to each other. As Tanjiro attempts to slow the poison, Tengen tells him to run, just as a large explosion erupts from Gyutaro's body, sending waves of blood blades and destroying the city. Nezuko burns away the blood blades with her blood demon art. In the aftermath, Tanjiro realizes he no longer feels the effects of Gyutaro's poison and asks himself why is he still alive. He reunites with Nezuko, overjoyed that she is fine. He finds Zenitsu back in his cowardly state as he has awakened, who guides him to a dying Inosuke. Nezuko uses her blood demon art on Inosuke, burning away the poison and saving him. They find Tengen at the verge of death. Surrounded by his wives, Nezuko saves him as well. Unable to walk, Tanjiro asks Nezuko to carry him, where they go looking for the demon siblings' heads. They first find a pool of their blood, which Tanjiro takes a sample of, as Tamayo's cat appears to take it to be analyzed. They then find the siblings, arguing with each other over whose fault their defeat is, and insulting their relationship. As Tanjiro intervenes and stops their quarrel, Diki fades away first. Seeing her die, Gyutaro remembers his past life as a human. Born in the poorest caste of the entertainment district. His extreme ugliness meant he had a dire childhood, being treated by a monster by everyone. Unloved by anyone and living in horrible conditions, things seemed to change when his sister Deki, whose real name was was born. Thanks to her beauty, the siblings began living a better life. However, when she was 13, brutally attacked a samurai with a hairpin and was burned and left to die in retaliation. Finding her in a pit, Gyutaro is slashed from behind by the same samurai, asked by madam. However, he survives and kills both of them with his sickle. Cast away with no one to help. They are found by the upper rank 6 of the time. He offers them to become demons and to eventually escalate to become upper ranks one day. Gyutaro meets with his sister in the afterlife, WH. They finally reconcile and promise each other to be together for the rest of time, walking to hell together. Gyutaro finishes disintegrating, and Tanjiro wonders if they manage to amend their bond. Obanaeguro, the serpent Hashira, arrives and congratulates Tengen on the accomplishment of defeating an upper-rank demon. However, Tengen remains steady on his desire to retire, and informs Obana that Tanjiro is near his full potential, and is a good candidate to take over his spot. In the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters, an increasingly ill Kaguya is overjoyed at the news, and expresses his proudness in the 3 young Demon Slayers, noting that the feat of defeating Muzan is not too far away. Meanwhile, Akaza is summoned at the Infinity Castle, and realizes that an upper rank has been killed. Tanjiro reunites and emotionally embraces with Zenitsu and Inosuke, happy to be alive, amongst the ruins of the entertainment district.